Hello again today, gang. Uh, in my previous video, I covered, the basics of story and stuff about my RPG I've been working on for a couple of years. This is going to cover the races. This is actually the third video I've made, but it's getting uploaded as the second part because I wanted to finish restructuring the races and stuff before I wanted to go ahead and do the classes since the classes are finalized, but the races were not. So now that I got those done, I'm going to go through them real quick. There's 30 races. You can make your own race, I think. No, I haven't done that yet, but maybe I will do that eventually. But anyway, this is actually step 1. So I'm going to put these in order on the playlist so they don't go out of order. But anyway, what we see here on the screen is this is stuff you have to make note of when choosing your race, because your stats are not randomized like a lot of RPGs are. They're pretty set, but there is modifiers based on what class you pick and with god you worship and some other stuff that can kind of modify your stats and make them go the way you want them to go. But anyway, here's the attribute key. STR equals string, STA equals stamina, DEX equals dexterity, and AGI agility, CHA charisma, REX is reflex, intelligent, INT is intelligence, WI is wisdom, RES is resourcefulness, REM is mental reflex, and will is willpower. Now here's what each stat determines. Strength determines melee damage and AP for melee classes. AP is your action points. I think we went over that in the first video. Stamina determines your HP and how many items you can carry. Dexterity determines your range damage for AP for range classes. Agility determines your movement speed and your initiative. Reflex determines your dodge roll versus melee and ranged attacks. Charisma for charming skills and interactions. Intelligence determines magic damage bonus and AP for caster classes. Wisdom governs many skills, it raises your resist by 1 for each. It's 1-to-1 for. Actually, no, it's 1 put to your main element and sub element. We'll get into that later. Willpower determines your how much magical damage you can absorb. It's basically like damage resistance for magic. Resourcefulness, that is for it's been so long since I've done this. It's for forge weapon, forge food, forge skills, and trade skills. That was the word I was looking for. Mental reflex determines your dodge roll versus magic spells. Your character age, if you want to even use it, you don't really have to use character age, but depending on how old your character is, will determine some stat boosts or stat decreases. Reputation is how you're perceived in cities and towns. Starting racial traits, those will be explained down below. Starting subrace, each race has 4 subraces, and each subrace has its own 3 unique things about it. Racial traits gained by level. We're not going to go all over those because you get a new racial trait you can pick from every 5 levels, all the way up to level 40, and that is a lot of stuff to go over. I don't think I'm going to get to it in this video. But the first race is obviously humans. Now I'm not going to go over too much of it. I got example names, average height, average weight, languages that they speak natively. You can learn other languages. You've got your home city. I haven't written this stuff, so this is just placeholder stuff. It's basically going to be their history on Avalon, what their culture is, and relations to other races on Avalon. Available sub-races, humans don't have any. Available classes, they can be anything. Their starting stats, again, not going to go over all of this, but young age, medium age, and old age. This is how their stats are determined by what age they are. Now, the ages up here are, well, where I put those at. Oh well, it doesn't matter. Oh yeah, here's the ages right next to the young age, medium age, old age. So 70, you're not going to be doing too much adventuring past 70, so that's where it stops at. Your starting reputation is 0. Starting racial traits, I will go over these. Widespread, humans are ignored by guards at all cities regardless of reputation. Jack of all trades, gain an additional skill point per level. Passive. Master of none, humans cannot obtain Grandmaster status. Jump 15 feet, climb 15 feet per round, swim 10 feet per round, racial enemy undead. Now, the only racial trait they get is at level 20. I'll just go over multi-class. They can pick a second additional class and immediately learn all these starting skills for that class. Whenever class is in the other video. Next one's Dwarf. Again, wearing all this is. Their available subraces are Mountain Dwarf, Etherian Dwarf, Hill Dwarf, and Oceanside Dwarf. And starting racial abilities: Improvision, Blacksmithing, Trade Skill, Stout, Resistance to Disease and Poison +5, Dig. Skill to create holes on the battlefield, which they can use to dig and set traps and actually dig underneath of things. Death from below. This goes in with their dig, but they do bonus damage when they're below a target. Jump 10, climb 10, swim 10. Their racial enemy is Dark Elves. Not going over all those. Yeah, so you get every 5 levels. Some of them have choices, some of them do not. What you get. The next race is Fae. Their sub-races are Forest Fae, Brownie, Ashrai, I think I'm pronouncing that right, Pixie. Their starting racial traits are they can fly, tiny, so they get +5 to DR because they're so damn hard to hit because they're small. They're magically adept, choose 2 extra spells, a character creation. Face sight, can see outline of magical items in total darkness, range is normal vision, so as far as they can normally see. Underestimated enemies initially ignore you in combat until you attack. Jump 5 feet, climb 10 feet per round, swim 10 feet per round. Their racial enemy is trolls. Going over those. Now this name is a placeholder because I haven't thought of a name for them yet. So it's just equine, basically. Equine folk from Dungeons and Dragons. I don't want to call them that, obviously, but scroll down. Their subraces are Akhel, Shire, Nightmare, and Moorland. And their starting racial traits are Rush, plus 15 feet to movement on turn it was executed, so you just use 2 AP to do 15 feet and attack at the end of the movement, which is a standard melee attack. Trample, knockdown. This is again another attack. Knockdown per 1 round. Stomp damage, which is 1d7 per level, plus your strength modifier, 6 AP, 3 per encounter. Jump 20 feet, climb 10 feet, swim 10 feet. They also have self-sustaining. Equines only need grass to eat, no food in inventory. And their racial enemy is lizard folk. Elf, obviously. Skip forward. High elf, half elf, wood elf, and moon elf for the subraces. Again, I'm not going over the special stuff you get for which subrace you get. Starting racial traits are keen senses, plus 10 to spot skills if selected. Pick 4 extra magical affinity, pick 4 extras. Spells at character creation, naturalist plus 2 AP while in outdoor areas. So as long as they're outdoors, they always get an additional 2 AP to their max AP. Lightfoot, sneak stance granted, walk on top of snow. They can walk on top of snow, and that means they don't get slowed down in blizzards. And they get sneak stance. So, and they do not trip foot pressure triggered traps. They're also immune to sleep because they don't have to sleep. Jump 15 feet, climb 15 feet, swim 15 feet. And their racial enemy is dwarves. Halfling. Available subraces are Stoutling, Shire. Got 2 names Shire. I might need to change that. Drindle and Hin. Their starting racial traits are small, plus 2 to DR, so a little harder to hit. Not as hard to hit as phase. They're resilient. They're resistant to psionics, plus 5. That's a resistance bonus. They're immune to charm. They innately have hide, and they innately have sneak. They're fleet of foot. They use 2 less AP while using the run skill. Run skill is a skill that every character has. Jump 5 feet, climb 10 feet, swim 10 feet. And they do not like spiders. I took that from Lord of the Rings, obviously. Feline, again, this is another placeholder name because I haven't thought of a name yet. And scroll down. Now available subraces are cheetah, jaguar, tiger, and cougar. Again, I'm not going over the available classes that they can play, but it is varied per race. Their starting racial traits are climb, balanced. I'll climb 10 feet to climb, movement bonus. So they get 10 feet to climb on top of climb, 20 feet per round. They also get balance. They're immune to dizzy status effect for plus 5 to cold and ice resist. Feet first, safe fall from up to 25 feet. Claws 8 damage per level on unarmed attacks. So if they don't have a weapon, they can use their claws to attack. And their racial enemy is gnolls. Ratoga, these are kind of rat-like people. Alright, available subraces are Stygian, Palm, Hail, and Brown. Starting racial traits are small. That should be plus 2. No. Plus 2 to DR. They start with the sneak stance. Jump 5 feet, climb 20 feet, swim 10 feet. I got these out of order for some reason, don't know why. They have an attack called Viral Bite. It's a melee attack that inflicts virus upon an enemy, does 10 damage per round for 3 rounds, 6 AP, 3 per encounter. That can be upgraded later on with racial traits per level. They're also resistant to disease. That should actually be plus 10. Yeah, plus 109. That would be good. Their racial enemies are felines. Tom and Jerry. Okay, got Naga. That is a snake. Okay, available subraces. This is actually their variants. So depending on which subrace you pick will determine what racial traits gained by level you can select from down here. So if you select Anaconda, it's a Constrictor, so down here it'll have Constrictor only under the level 5 racial trait, so you can only select that one. You can't select like Venom Spit or something like that. But the available sub-races are Anaconda, Cobra, Mamba, and Reticulus. So their starting racial traits are large. They're pretty big, so they have -2 to DR. They have no legs, so they have no leg armor slot. They have no feet, so they have no feet armor slot. They have a coil attack, which ensnares an enemy and prevents them from moving. Fangs. Again, this is venomous only. I don't know why it doesn't have it at the end of there, but venomous bite. Again, this is only if you select the venomous ones. Constrictor only. Damage over time equals strength bonus while coiled, so you do damage while ensnaring an enemy. Devour, you can devour unconscious or dead enemies, and it'll heal you for 15 damage. But it does take 2 rounds to do it, so you will be completely vulnerable for 2 rounds. I don't know why it's not on there. Again, that HP bonus might actually go up a little bit. Like 15 per level. Okay, they're immune to knockdown since they don't have feet or legs, so they can't really be knocked down. They have no ability to jump. Climb, they're really good climbers and swimmers, so 25 feet, 25 feet. Their racial enemy is Yan Tai. Next is demons. Available subraces: Succubus, Incubus, Archdemon, Pit Fiend, and Imp. Okay, their starting racial traits are Seethe, +5 fire damage to all attacks, fire resistance +5, dark resistance +5, Soulvore, enemies that die close to the demon heal at 15 HP, 10 foot radius. Holy weakness, -5 to holy. They can fly. I think one of the sub-races can't fly. They have a swoop aerial melee attack. Jump 15 feet, climb 10 feet, swim 10 feet. Let's get that. Now we got Goblin. Available sub-races: Cole Q, Bogey, Half Goblin, and Trow. I probably butchered that pronunciation, but it's I think a Japanese race of goblins. A lot of these sub-races I got from mythology. Alright, they get +2 to DR for being small. They're resistant to poison 2 and fire 2. Annoyance: Goblin on the battlefield draws attacks to it. If given the choice of attacking any 2 allies within range of attack, it will always choose the Goblin. So if an enemy is close to the Goblin within melee range, it's always going to choose the Goblin to attack because they're fucking annoying. Set Trap. They start with the Set Trap skill. Swamp Walk. This is a bonus to movement within a certain biome, so 2+ to AP, and Swamp +2+ to movement, so they can move an additional 10 feet. They get dark vision, so they can see as if it was daylight within pitch darkness. Jump 5 feet, climb 10 feet, swim 10 feet. And their racial enemy is Naga. Okay, we got Draconic, kind of like dragon people. Their available subraces are red, descended from red dragons, black, again from black dragons, prismatic, and blue. Again, these come from... Oh yeah, they're just dragon types from other games. Okay, they're scaled so they get a bonus to DR, to damage resistance. They also get a bonus to fire resistance. They can fly. They also have claws like a cat. But I don't know why this isn't the same as the cat one. Plus 2 damage per level while character's unarmed. It's actually supposed to be 8. Swoop attack. Again, it's an aerial melee attack where you swoop down from your height and return to your original height after a melee attack. Fire breath. This is for all dragons. 10 per fire level fire attack. 70 to 100. 10 damage, 2 rounds. So if you roll 70 to 100, it sets them on fire and does 10 damage for 2 rounds while they're on fire. That can be upgraded later on in the racial traits. Okay, jump 15 feet, climb 15 feet, swim 15 feet. Their racial enemy is ogre. Lizard folk. Croc, Basil, Vivipar, and Varnaeus. Okay, their starting traits are Enduring Breath, able to hold their breath 3 additional rounds on top of the other rounds that they can hold it. So like total 5 rounds, I believe, or 6. Swamp Walk, again, AP bonus and movement bonus while in the swamp biome. They have a bite attack, which is 8 per level damage bite, 6 AP and 5 per counter. That can be upgraded later. They have a hunter, which is a tracking skill, which allows you to track monsters within a specific map. It'll compel the GM to have to show you where the monster is if you can have the skill to find the monster. Scaled again, they also get a bonus to DR. Balance because they have tails, so they're immune to dizzy. They're 15 feet jump, 15 feet per round climb, 25 feet per round swim. Orcs. Can't have a fantasy game without orcs. Half orc for subrace. Ashen, Urukai, and Urukai. I can't pronounce that. I'm not even going to try. Anyway, starting racial traits is running charge, movement ending in a melee attack. That's kind of like the equine one. Hatred, plus 20 damage to every attack versus elves and humans. So they do really good versus elves and humans. Smith, it's supposed to be blacksmith. Blacksmith trait skill granted to character creation. No fear, they're immune to fear. They can't be feared at all. Warrior's High, 2+ character level to strength for 1 round. That's supposed to be a technique, not an attack. I love going through this stuff and finding mistakes. So for every level, and you get two to your strength. Jump 15 feet, climb 15 feet, swim 10 feet, racial enemy humans. Let's call this Knoll, basically dogs. Available subraces: Shepherd, I can't pronounce that, Molosian, Hound, and Nordic. And their starting racial traits are Blood Fury. While bleeding, you gain 2+ damage per character level. Dead Snacks, you can devour dead monsters to regain HP. Pack Attack, you gain 5 extra damage per character level while allies are adjacent to you. Bite Attack, deal your strength modifier and physical damage. I think you can upgrade that later to be like disease based or something like that. resist ice, +5, spur. They're immune to chill status. These are actually kind of... They live in the mountains to the north, you know. And of course they don't like cats. Okay, got Satyr. Available subraces are Woodland, Mountain, Heavy Horned, and Myotonic. Whatever. Starting racial traits are Longbows. They start with the Longbow and the ability to use it with the skill bonus of 10. They also start with tracking skill. Hoofed kick. Their kick attack does some additional damage. Every person starts with a kick attack. Mule kick, they can kick backwards with both hooves, so they can attack enemies behind them without actually having to turn around. Forge food, they start with a forge food skill. They can jump 20 feet, climb 10 feet, and swim 10 feet. And their racial enemy is humans. Dark Elf is the only other elf variant that I have. I didn't want to go too crazy on the elves like Dungeons and Dragons or other ones, so available subraces are Varian, Sogun, the Shunt, and Krins. Okay, starting racial traits are Infravision, Dark Elf Cunning, they get the Sneak and Hide skill technique, Dark Elf Reflex +5 to all dodge rolls, Dark Elf Treachery, blind an enemy for 1 round, 4 AP, 5 per... It's just basically slash it in enemy's eyes and blind them for 1 round. Dark Elf Sight, darks are blinded for 1 round in bright places. Dazzled in the affected area. So basically when a Dark Elf goes into a bright area for the first time, for 1 round they're blinded. But then after the 1 round runs off, they're dazzled, which dazzled is... I believe it lowers your movement per round. So jump 15 feet, climb 15 feet, swim 15 feet. Their racial enemy are mind flayers. Okay, we got Celestial, which is basically angels. We got Seraphim for subraces, Cherubim, Archangel, and Observers. So their starting racial traits are Flight, Resistance to Dark, -2, White Touch, can heal allies based on AP spent, like AP 4 equals 10 HP healed all the way up to AP 14 equals 100 HP heal. 3 per encounter, melee range. Healing aura, heal spells cast on you heal an additional 1 HP per level of your character. So heal spells are more effective on you. Jump 15 feet, climb 15 feet, swim 15 feet, and their racial enemy is obviously demons. We're down to Gnome. Gnome available subraces are Riverfolk, Slovenian, I can't pronounce that, Whisperers, and Underfoot. Their starting racial traits are Tinkering. They get the Tinkering skill. They're small, so they get 2 DR. They're underestimated, so enemies pretty much ignore them until the gnome attacks. Throw accuracy +5 to all hit rolls regarding thrown weapons or items. Gnome's resolve, resistance to mind +5. Jump 5 feet, climb 10 feet, swim 10 feet. Racial enemy is trolls. And then we got Troll. Available subraces for trolls are Skog, Half Troll, Verglis, and Lava Walker. And their starting racial traits are large, so they get -2 to DR. Regeneration, they can regenerate lost limbs within 2 rounds. Bleeding, any sort of bleeding only lasts 1 round, so the bleeding Status ailment only lasts 1 round regardless. Jump 15 feet, climb 15 feet, swim 10 feet. Their racial enemy is giants. Okay, we're on Centaur. I'm sure everybody knows what centaurs look like. Equine centaur, which these are just variations on centaur. Equine centaur is obviously a horse centaur. Cervine centaur is a deer. Asinine centaur is donkey, and bovine centaur is a bull. Okay, their starting racial traits are proficiency, archery, 15 to any skill involving any type of bow. So if they whatever bow skill they start with, they immediately get 15 to skill. So that's a 15 damage bonus immediately to any archery. They're sure-footed, ignore movement penalties for most terrain. That should say all terrain. Well, actually, they don't. They don't ignore terrain for no gravity. Short bow, which is bow skill they start with. They also get the trample attack. No leg slot for armor. They don't have any leg armor. Jump 15 feet. They can't climb. Swim 10 feet per round. And racial enemies orcs. Down to Minotaur. Okay, available sub-races are Angrius, Half-Ox, I'm gonna butcher that, Jeblif, I don't know, and like I said, I got most of these from different mythologies around the world, and I can't pronounce all the languages, so I'm butchering some of these. Their starting racial traits are Trample, again, Unstoppable Charge. They basically charge 15 foot in a straight line. Stopping only on an empty spot. All enemies pass through or damaged. 6 AP cost, does your normal weapon and damage. If obstruction blocks you from the 15 feet charge, you take damage of 5 at the end. So basically, if you can't charge 15 feet, don't charge 15 feet because you'll take damage. Gore, Minotaurs can use their horns on their head as a weapon, and Gore attack does 5 damage plus 1 damage per character level. Also has a small chance to cause bleeding, which is 90 to 100. 8 AP. The Gore can be upgraded later. Rage. Taunted Minotaurs gain plus 5 strength for 1 round. This should be per level. Actually, changing this one. Like, some of the stuff seems like power crept by stuff I've already put up, so I usually have to change it. Seeing red, if an enemy is bloodied, your melee attacks do 1 additional damage per level of character more. Jump is 15, climb 10, swim 10. Oni is basically Japanese demons. Just think of a pit. Just look up Oni on the internet, and you'll get a basic idea of what they look like. They're pretty freaky. Half Oni, Oshini, Shitin, and Hakai. Starting racial traits are Citywalkers. Traditional, so they gain weapons. They gain weapon skills for katana, kenbo, and claws. I don't know why it has a B at the end. I don't know if that's spelled right or not. It doesn't look like it is. Fearsome, once per round you can re-roll on the single fear check. So if you use an attack that's supposed to fear something and it doesn't fear it, that means you can re-roll and try to fear them again with the same attack, but you don't have to use the attack again. Minor shape-shifting, they can change their appearance into humans at will. They get an acrobatic skill plus 5, so they get the skill and the skill bonus. Jump 15, climb 25, swim 10. And their racial enemy is the Jinn. Okay, we got nymphs. Nymphs are only notable because you can't have male nymphs, so they're only female. They're available. Subraces are Rosia, I don't know, Naiad, Ethereal, and Sirens. Their racial traits are Dazzling Beauty, get the reroll on, so it's kind of like the Fearsome above, except this is the opposite, so you get to reroll on the Charm check and use the highest result. Disarm and Radiance, again, this is another monsters ignore the nymph until it attacks. Again, females only, I just went over that. At will charms, so they can, it doesn't matter what race class they are, they get in a charm attack where they can try to charm a monster. And that'll last for, that should say 2 rounds. I don't like stuff to last only 1 round, kind of pointless. 5 AP, melee range, can only be used in melee range, so you have to be like right on them to use it. Jump 10 feet, climb 10 feet, swim 15 feet, and their racial enemy is also trolls. Avian Bird, obviously. Available subraces: Coccyx, Hawk, Vultures, and Songbird. And their available racial traits are flight, aerial agility, so avians start with the ability to dodge ranged attacks and magic attacks while flying. They got talons. Razor sharp talons on feet do 5 damage in unarmed combat. So if you punch something or kick something, they'll do additional 5 damage. Beak, razor sharp, 10 damage plus 2 damage per character level melee attack. Smooth descent. Roll for a chance to avoid. So if you get like knocked out of the air with a stun attack, you can roll to avoid the falling damage by basically taking flight again. Eagle Eye, plus 20 to all spot skills. Jump 15 feet, climb 25 feet, swim 15 feet, and their racial enemy is gargoyles. And here's gargoyles. Now when you think gargoyles, you just look up the Disney show. Stone gargoyle, ruby gargoyle, diamond gargoyle, emerald gargoyle. Okay, their starting racial traits are tough skin, so plus 2 to DR, plus 5 to resistance to cold. Petrification immunity, they can't be turned to stone. Hibernation, which is stone hibernation. During the day you can change into stone or forms depending on subrace. Immune to all forms of magical damage, which can't be damaged by magic. Must remain in hibernation for at least 1 round while activated, 8 AP. Glide, they can't fly, but they can glide from a high ground or wind gusts. Claws, plus 5 to melee damage while unarmed. Jump 15 feet, climb 25 feet, swim 10 feet. Racial enemy demons. I think we're getting down here to the bottom. We're almost done. Kelpie. These are, I wouldn't say fish, but they're like shape-shifting aquatic race. I'm going to butcher all these. Falkirk, that one's easy. Kappa, that one's easy. Mestificu. Again, these two. Nahalito. And their starting racial traits are Aquamancy, that means they start with being able to learn water magic. They can breathe underwater. They have water camo, so since their skin is usually blue, when they're underwater, they're very hard to see. Water walker, they can walk on the surface of water. They start with the underwater combat passive, which means they can use their full range of melee attacks while underwater. Shape-shifting, they can shape-shift into a human at will. Jump 10 feet, climb 10 feet, swim 30 feet, and their racial enemy is mermaid. Swampel, these are like frog people. Their racial traits are, again, this is kind of the same as the Naga class. Depending on which subrace you select, depends on what racial trait you gain by level down bottom. Upaga is poisonous, Kane is large, Hylox is poisonous, and Kunra is large. I got these names from genus species types of frogs. Enduring breath, they can hold their breath for 3 rounds on top of the normal. They get acrobatic skill plus a skill bonus. Again, poisonous. This is for the poisonous subrace only. They secrete a poison through their skin. Tongue grapple. This is for all of them. They can grapple opponents from 15 feet away. Leaping Stomp, it's a jumping attack. Swamp Walker, again, AP bonus and movement bonus while in the swamp. Jump 25 feet, climb 10 feet, swim 25 feet. And their racial enemy is Lizardfolk. And Mind Flare, I think this is the last one. I ain't pronouncing those freaking names. Now think Cthulhu when you think Mind Flare. Available subraces: Surface Dweller, the Abhorrent, Intellect Devourers, and Elders. And their starting racial traits are telepathy, communicate telepathically over 15 feet, means they don't have to talk to convey what they're doing. Frail, mind flayers are weak to sunlight in the sun. Weak to sunlight in the sun. Well, obviously, they have a -3 AP and -5 movement while in the sun. Tentacle grab, which is they have facial tentacles, so they attach it to an enemy's head. You have to do this twice in a row, which means you have to have 2 successful rolls, and you have to have a 3rd successful roll. And if you manage to do it on extract, you will immediately kill the target and replenish your health by 15 per level. That's what this. They start with psionics. Psionics is not really magic, but it's a form of magic, I guess. I just got it generalized into spell school, but it's basically, all the kinesises and stuff you can do with the mind. They hover, they don't actually walk. Jump 10 feet, climb 10 feet, swim 10 feet, and their racial enemy is dark elves. Oh wait, we got one more, Arachne. So think basically half dark elf, half spider. Their available subraces are, I took these from spider races. So types of spiders: widow, ephro, weavers, and the recluse. And their starting racial traits are sticky feet. Arachne can climb on vertical surfaces without penalty. So their climb is basically the same as their movement, which this should say down here, but doesn't. Venomous Bite. Again, this can be upgraded later. Hide. They get the hide technique. They're immune to psionics. They have no feet armor slot. Webbing spray. They can spray webbing underground that basically roots an enemy to the ground where they can't move. Scary. Enemies avoid the Arachne until it again, it's another type of camo, basically. The enemies will avoid you until you attack. And their racial trait is, racial enemy is dark elves. They do not like dark elves either. Jump 10 feet, climb 30 feet, swim 5 feet. And that is every race in the game. 30 of them. Like, I obviously couldn't go over everything because this video would be like 3 times longer than it already is. So I do maybe plan on adding and make your own race kind of thing, because I already have a make your own class. So I was thinking about adding it, but I'm just still deciding on exactly how to do it. But that will conclude this probably very long video. Thank you for watching.